If you have been following the news from the Philippines, you have probably heard that Mayon Volcano is erupting right now in 2026. Let me put the situation into context. As I record this, Mayon is at alert level 3 on a 5-step scale. That means lava is building, gases are rising, and small explosions have already begun. More than 5,000 people have been moved into safe evacuation centers, and a 6-kilometer danger zone around the mountain has been completely cleared. The Philippine government has done its job. The science has worked. The people inside the danger zone are safe. But here is the part of the story you may not know. Exactly 212 years ago, this same volcano did something so terrible that an entire town and over 1,000 people simply vanished off the map of the Philippines in one afternoon. The lessons learned from that disaster are the reason today's evacuations are running so quickly and so smoothly. The reason? No one will die this time. But back in 1814, there were no evacuations. There was only a church. And hundreds of people inside, praying for protection that never came. This is the story of the most violent eruption in Philippine history. This is the story of Mayon, and the day it buried an entire town of survivors inside a single building. If you have ever seen a photograph of Mayon Volcano, you already understand why it has fascinated people for centuries. Mayon is one of the most perfectly cone-shaped volcanoes in the world. It rises out of the Bicol region of the Philippines like something out of a children's drawing, a near-flawless triangle of green, broad at the base and rising more than 8,000 feet into a sharp, gentle point at the top. Filipinos love it. Tourists fly across the world to see it. Photographers wait for hours just to catch its summit clear of clouds. Its name itself, Mayon, comes from a local word meaning beautiful. But underneath that beauty is one of the most active volcanoes on the entire planet. Since the year 1616, Mayon has erupted more than 50 times. It has had violent eruptions, quiet eruptions, lava flow eruptions, ash eruptions, and the most dangerous of all, pyroclastic flow eruptions. It has erupted on average about once every 8 to 10 years, century after century, for the past 400 years. There are very few volcanoes anywhere in the world that erupt this often, this consistently, and this close to large human populations. Today, the Bicol region surrounding Mayon is home to more than 1 million people. Over 100,000 of them live close enough to the volcano that they have to be ready to evacuate at any moment. But 200 years ago, the people living at the foot of Mayon did not have warning sirens. They did not have evacuation centers. They did not have the science to understand what a volcano can really do. Cagsawa was a small town built at the southern foot of Mayon Volcano, in what is today the province of Albay. The town had been founded centuries earlier, and at its center stood a beautiful stone church built by Spanish Franciscan men. The very first version of the church was constructed all the way back in 1587, more than 4 centuries ago. Dutch raiders burned it to the ground in 1636. The local people rebuilt it. They were that stubborn about that church. The version of the building that mattered most was rebuilt in 1724. It was a beautiful Baroque-style stone church, with thick walls, a heavy belfry, and a wide nave that could shelter several hundred people. It was built to last forever. It was a place of safety, a place of prayer, a place that had survived fires, storms, and even pirates. To them, it was the safest place in their entire world. In late January 1814, Mayon Volcano began to stir. Small earthquakes rolled through the Bicol region. By January 31, the tremors were strong enough that the people of Cagsawa started to feel afraid. They did not have scientists. They did not have monitoring stations. They had no idea what was coming. They only knew that the mountain seemed angry. So they did the most natural thing in the world. They went to the church. By the morning of February the 1st, 1814, Hundreds of villagers, men, women, and children, had gathered inside the heavy stone walls of the Cagsawa church. They did not know that what was about to come down off the mountain was not something stone walls could stop. At some point during the morning of February 1st, 1814, Mayon Volcano exploded. It was not a small eruption. It was, by every measure, the single most violent eruption Mayon has ever produced in recorded history. Modern volcanologists, studying the deposits left behind by the disaster, classify it as a V4, a high-impact, deeply explosive event. A column of gas, ash, and rock blasted upward out of the summit. The plume rose so high that contemporary accounts suggest it may have reached 50 kilometers into the upper atmosphere. The sky over the entire province of Albay turned black. Pyroclastic flows are the deadliest force a volcano can produce: superheated avalanches of glowing gas, ash, and rock, moving at speeds of hundreds of kilometers per hour and burning at temperatures of several hundred degrees Celsius. They flatten anything in their path. They burn anything they touch. Inside the church, the people were still praying. They could hear the roar from outside. They could feel the earth shaking. But the walls were thick, the doors were sealed. They believed the church would hold. It did not hold. When the pyroclastic flow reached Cagsawa, it engulfed the village. Then, it engulfed the church. The hundreds of people sheltering inside were killed almost instantly by heat, by gas, by the impossible pressure of the burning air. The same flow continued past the church and out into the surrounding farmlands, killing crops, animals, and people across miles of countryside. Then came the ash. For days after the explosion, ash continued to rain down across the bbout region. In some places near the volcano, it piled up 9 to 12 meters deep, as tall as a 4-story building. The neighboring town of Budio was completely flattened. The Cagsawa church, along with most of the village around it, was buried. By the time the air finally cleared, around 1,200 people were dead. It was the deadliest single event in the entire recorded history of Philippine volcanoes. The village of Cagsawa was never rebuilt on its original site. The survivors moved to safer ground. But one piece of the old town refused to disappear. The bell tower of the buried church kept rising above the new layer of volcanic soil, a single gray stone spire, sticking up out of the earth as if reaching for the sky, the only visible reminder that an entire town once existed on that spot. The bell that once called villagers to prayer was silent now, but the tower itself stood firm. It still stands today. The site, now called the Cagsawa Ruins, has become one of the most photographed landmarks in the entire Philippines, a strange, beautiful, haunting place where a stone tower rises out of green grass with the perfect cone of Mayon Volcano framed directly behind it. It has been declared a national cultural treasure. And here is what makes this story matter today. Every single decision being made in the Philippines this very month, the evacuations, the alert level 3 warnings, the 6-kilometer danger zone. Filipino volcanologists working at PHIVOLCS, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, have spent decades learning from this single disaster. The church could not save the people of Cagsawa, but Cagsawa is saving the people of Albay today. Mayon is still erupting as I write this video. The mountain glows red at night. The danger zone is empty. The world is watching. But the difference between 1814 and 2026 is not the volcano. The volcano is exactly the same. The difference is us. We have science. We have warning systems. We have evacuation plans. We have hundreds of years of lessons written into the bell tower of Cagsawa that the people of 1814 never had a chance to learn. Their church could not hold back the cloud. And as long as Mayon stands, and as long as the bell tower stands, the people of Albay will never forget what one mountain can do in a single morning.